For many of your students, you have been more than just teachers. You have been mentors, role models, and guides. My Didi Bhaiya has been a constant source of support and encouragement for me. They have not only taught me academic lessons but also important life skills such as resilience, empathy, perseverance. Knowing that they believe in me has given me the confidence to chase my dreams. Even though my Didi Bhaiya's fellowship have ended, I know that their support is always constant. They continue to be there for me by staying in touch, offering guidance whenever I need it, and being a source of inspiration as I navigate through life. Whether it's through occasional meetups, phone calls, or messages, knowing that they're just a message away means the world to me.
Hello everyone, my name is Saurabh. I did my fellowship from Pune in 2016. I taught 61 sixth graders and seventh graders in a low income private school. My classroom was not a year one intervention classroom. They already had previous fellows. So honestly, when I walked into my classroom, my kids knew more about Teach for India than I did at that point of time. I think by the end of fellowship, I wanted my kids to become self-aware, take ownership of their action, build clarity for themselves on what they want to achieve, and then have their ecosystem of support, like just finding those people whom they can reach out to, create that relation with them. When I think of what impact that they have on me, very honestly, I think I got so much love and care for them. My understanding of the sector got better and better, and I chose to stay back. I was working with the same set of kids for next 2 years as volunteer in the classroom, just making sure that the current fellow in the classroom feels welcome, comfortable with me coming and teaching them as well. Because the kids might just keep coming to you and just ignore the current fellow in the classroom as well. I chose to join fellowship once again when my students were in 10th grade as the TTF fellow. This was a time when pandemic just started. Uh, and the reason to come back was one, the kids were in 10th grade. There was a fellow who was not there in the classroom. And then this was a time which was the most difficult time, and I wanted to stay with my students as well. That made me join back the fellowship. And trust me, this was the most, I would say, the fun time I had with my students, irrespective of all the different challenges that we were facing. But I had great time with my students while teaching them. Uh, the reason for staying back in the sector is very simple, right? I think by now we all know the problem, we all know the current reality, we understand the need as well, right? So I'm not going to talk about that. It's very, very selfish, right? I think when I think of myself, it's just the satisfaction what you get. Randomly, you might get a message from the students just appreciating your efforts. You walk somewhere and some parents comes and talk to you and say, "Hey, bhaiya, what are you doing? How are you?" and all those things. And then every day when you walk back, like when you go take the rest, you feel okay. Today is something which I am able to accomplish. I think in my role as a PM as well, when I walk into a classroom, when I see students answering, or when I see the change in the outcomes of the classroom, it just gives me a sense of pride. Okay, this is something which is making an impact. Again, it's slow, it's going to take time, but at the end of the day, there is something that's getting changed. I think that's the feeling, that's the best feeling that you will ever have, and that's making me stay in this sector and making me make sure that I keep doing whatever I'm doing. All the best, everyone, for your upcoming journey. Thank you.
I'm Abhijit. I am a 2018 to 2020 TFI fellow in Delhi. My fellowship ending was really sad because I was wrapping up my fellowship when we were hit by the first wave of COVID. So everything went online, and my girls were just entering grade 10 at that point. Every 2 months or every 3 months after lockdown opened, we would meet in person. And obviously, I was there for them on calls. I would keep the WhatsApp group super active so that they would feel enabled to reach out to me for anything. So what I would do is that every 2-3 months, I would understand where they were suffering. That caused a little bit of problem because obviously there was a fellow in the classroom already, but I really wanted to understand how they were performing in their academics, what are the decisions they were thinking about for next year, because when they would be in grade 12, they would have to select the subjects. So I think one of those things really impacted them when they were actually doing the subject selection in grade 11th. They actually, like, a lot of them reached out to me to understand what are the subjects that they could take, and what are the career choices associated with each one of them. And when they were in grade 11th, what I did was, because some of them had sort of long-term aspirations, they wanted to be in certain professions, I connected them to my network. So my personal network. If someone wants to be in, say, banking, I would connect them to a banker friend. If they wanted to be a doctor, I would connect them to a doctor friend. And it was not only the mentorship that was going on. I just made sure that these people who were connecting them to were like super invested, and a lot of my friends were reaching out to me for, say, micro donations of every month, right? But they wanted to see impact. So I did this one-on-one mapping wherein they would invest some time of theirs on the student. And they would invest some very small amount of on the student, because a lot of my students' parents had lost jobs, and my students really could not afford tuitions, and they could not afford books. So that is something that really enabled them. And I was very impressed that last month, when I connected to a student of mine who reached out to me for something, she was still in touch with one of those mentors, and I myself am not in the touch with that friend of mine, but they were. It also just tells you that you have to, like, really understand what kind of students can make sense of this kind of a relationship, right? Does not have to be like all academically bright students. It can be those.
I have an example that in 9th standard, now I'm in 10th and I've cleared my 10th boards. So in 9th standard, I once messaged her asking that I need to take science. In 11th, I will take science and I want to clear NEET. So, how to, like, for that, I have to strengthen my science base. So, how to strengthen that? I asked her that. So, she explained me very nicely. Like, her chat was so big. She said that read books and clear the 9th and 10th ka science portions very neatly. And she also suggested me to read some magazines that will be available on internet, science magazines. So, but I wasn't able to do that because of the 10th boards and all came. But she always helps us, and also she also tells us, she's in touch with us. She also tells us which book to read, and we also do a meeting on Zoom call. So that is very much helpful. Even if we don't get the books practically, we read it online. She helps us a lot. Also, and I'm sure that in college also, if I have any problem, now I'll be starting to my college in July. So I think that if I would have any problem regarding anything, I can reach out to them.
Now when I am more mature, when I have grown up, I have more big problems. I think we all need a kind of guide. I think they are kind of guide for me. They are still available for me whenever I am in problem. I text them, I call them, I refer them in a sense to be my guide. Secondly, they get connected to us by doing either by calls or either by doing book clubs like Sohini do, or by like just meeting in person, or some by like just like texting each other out. And they are like very helpful for us because they guide us and they are like true friends of ours.